Hello and welcome to my garden. So today I figured I would take you guys on a little tour of my garden. So I'm going to start here. This is a new bed that I put in this year, just along in front of the deck that's on our house. This was intended to be an ornamental bed for bedding plants and that kind of thing. But I went a bit overboard planting beans this year, so it's become mostly a bean bed. With a few ornamentals in there like the sunflowers and alyssum and marigolds and that kind of thing. But yeah, what I have here, this is scarlet runners. So they're climbing up strings, going way up the deck. Then I've got some soybeans here. And then further along I have some Royal Burgundy, which are just starting to produce little beans there now. They'll be ready in a few weeks. There's my peach tree, which I got off to a rough start, but it seems to have taken okay now. These are some beans called Painted Lady. They have the red and white flowers. And yeah, more bush beans down here. There's a bronze fennel here, which is, well, it's a fennel that's kind of bronzish colour. It's really nice in salads, has kind of a licoricey, aniseedy kind of flavour. There's a few more beans. Now let's take a swing around to the main garden. As you can see, my garden is comprised mainly of raised bed gardens. These are, well, there's various generations of them. This is the first one that I built, and the second one over there. And as you go further along, the beds get younger, and my building technique has improved over time. But basically, they are beds that are 10 foot by 4 foot. Built out of 2x6s. You can see here I used brackets on the corners to hold them together. But as we go up, you'll see my later design doesn't use the brackets anymore. So here, this is my pea bed here. Have some broad beans here, which they'll be ready they're pretty close to being ready now. A couple more days, those will be ready. There's some peas here. This is a variety called Dalvey, I believe. It's a shelling pea. I had intended to sow sugar snaps here, but must have grabbed the wrong packet when I was sowing them. But these will be good anyways. Over here are some strawberries. This bed is getting a little bit overgrown by the goldenrod in the back there. As soon as that's flowered, I'm going to rip it out, but I'm leaving it there now because the bees love it when it's flowering. I have two types of strawberries here. These were planted in the spring. This is a variety called Archer, which didn't do very well. A number of the plants didn't survive being transplanted. Over here, this is a variety called Laurel, which has done really well. Here we've had a few fruit off of it already, and here's another one. It looks like a bird may have had a go at that, so I'm going to have to install some netting to put them off. And also have a few lettuce in the middle of the bed there. Now over here, these are my leeks. There's two varieties of leeks here. These ones are a variety called Megatron, and these are Lancelot. Lancelot is a variety that I've been growing for a few years now, and have found it to be a really good leek. But I had the opportunity to try these Megatron, so I figured I'd give them a go. You could say that these are planted maybe a little bit closer than you'd normally grow leeks, but I had 200 plants and I didn't want to waste any, so I stuffed them in there, and I'm just going to see how they do. I'm pretty happy with the way they're growing at the moment. By the fall I should have some decent sized leeks there. Now this bed here, this is mostly my carrot bed with some beans at the back. And a bunch of different types of carrots here. As you can see, they're about ready to be thinned now. So yeah, probably later this week I'll be thinning them and using the baby carrots in salads and stuff. And back here, these are rattlesnake beans. They're one of our favourites. The only trouble with them is they're hard to find because they have almost like a camouflage pattern, which makes them really difficult to find in amongst all the leaves and everything. This here is a variety of scarlet runner that my uncle has been saving seed from, and these ones actually have a pure black seed rather than the normal sort of black and purple seed. So I'm growing those on for him and see if I can maintain the black seeds. Over here is my squash bed. We have zucchini here. You can see there's one there that's just about ready to harvest, and there's a female flower there and a male flower here. Now I don't usually find I have any trouble with them being pollinated. There's enough bees around here that doesn't seem to be an issue, but if you're having trouble with pollination, all you need to do is take your male flower. Oh, it's kind of hard to do this on camera. So I've pulled off the petals, and then I'm just going to pop that in there. And there, that female flower is pollinated now, so that should set fruit. You can use one male flower for multiple female flowers, and yeah, hopefully get better pollination if you're having issues with bees. Now on the other side here, I have my winter squash. I have a variety called Sweet Mama, which is a buttercup squash, and also have a variety called Sweet Dumpling. Sweet Dumpling are a very small one, but plants produce lots of small squash. One of the advantages with Sweet Dumpling is that it doesn't really require any preparation. You can just throw it in the oven and bake it, seeds and all, and then when you take it out, you can just cut it and scoop out the seeds, and it's pretty much ready to serve. Whereas with most of the other buttercup type squashes, you need to take the seeds out before you cook them. And this here is just more of the same. I like to grow lots of winter squash because they store well, and yeah, they're a nice thing to have in the winter, especially Christmas time. Have a winter squash with Christmas dinner. And over here, this is my asparagus. You can see this is 2 years old, so I just let it grow the leaves this year. Then next year we'll start harvesting the spikes as they come out. And in behind it I got a hop which has gone crazy this year. Then we have my brassica bed. So here is some cauliflower and a few weeds. And then here's my January King cabbage. You see they're just starting to form heads there now. And there's some Brussels sprouts. And then these are my veteran cabbage. These are actually 3 years old. And what we've been doing is just harvesting the shoots on them, because we harvested the heads a couple of years ago. They keep growing. They're not going to form heads ever again, but they do keep producing these nice shoots, which we'll keep using. And a few more lettuce here. These lettuce plants are actually 11 months old, These were planted September last year, or seeded I should say, September last year. Overwintered them in the greenhouse and then put them back out here in the spring, and they're still going along. They look like, well, this one here anyways looks like it's ready to bolt now, but they're still producing tasty leaves, so keep growing them. Here's some more kale and some cabbage. This is a variety called Warosa, which is a Savoy cabbage. Here, this is my parsnip seed. Every year I save a few parsnip plants and grow them on for seed. Here is a few stray parsnips, but this is intended to be my garlic and onion bed. So garlic in the back here, onions down here. And over here we have my parsnips. So parsnip I seed in usually November, and then the seed overwinters in the ground and germinates early in the spring. So these ones here would have been seeded back in November, and I find that gives them a head start with the short summers we have here. An extra sort of few weeks in the spring seems to help a lot. And also, where there are a few parsnip missed, I popped in some kale plants, so we have some random kale in with our parsnips. As I said, I went kind of crazy with the beans, so here are some more beans. There's runner beans in the back here, or in the middle, sorry, growing up the poles. There's a bee there doing his business. And then on the bottom I have more of these Royal Burgundy down here. And you can see they're starting to form some little beans. And then in this bed I have corn. So my technique with the corn is that I sprout the seed indoors around about the second week in May, and then I have this bed here prepared with the woven mulch on the ground, and then I have hoops with plastic over them so the ground is all nice and warm, and then as soon as the seeds start showing their little root tips, I bring them out here and plant them in the warm soil and keep the cover on until the plants are basically pushing it off. And yeah, that seems to be a fairly successful way for me to grow corn. I haven't had a failure growing it that way yet. So you can see the female flowers here, these silks, and the male flowers up here. So corn is wind pollinated, so as these shake in the wind, you can't see it now, but pollen will fall from these down onto the female flowers there. And here we have another garlic bed. I've got a few different varieties. I got Music, Dugansky. I got a German red, spicy Korean, I think. And I think I got a Persian one I was trying as well. These garlic were planted back in November last year, or October, sorry, and then covered with a thick mulch of maple leaves. And this these leaves were actually held down with some snow fence as well to stop them blowing around. But you can see the bonus of maple leaves is that I also get maple trees. I'm probably just going to take these and plant them in the woods behind my house, or some of them anyways. Other ones I might experiment, see if I can graft some Crimson King maple onto, and maybe grow some plants that I can sell. Yeah, but for the most part really they're just a weed, but you know, I've left them to grow there because they're not really competing much with the garlic. Okay, let's go and have a look in the greenhouse now.